What are you looking at, stupid? Just calm down, alright? It's just a deer. Every day they show up. It's not that big of a deal. Alright, you stare at him. I gotta go and change the oil on the car. Now Sam is telling me also the reverse camera's not going on when you put it into reverse. Nothing. So you put it into reverse here. It doesn't even like do any kind of flashing. Huh. That's strange. So I believe there's a button in here. I think there's a button inside of here that when you put this thing into reverse, it pushes down on the button and it engages the reverse camera here. And I would say the button is probably the first thing I should check on this, but I'll do that later. Oil change is the more important thing, considering it's 45,840 and we got 45,700 there, so we're over by 140. Most convenient oil filter placement on any car I've ever worked on. Now you can look at how small that oil filter is compared to the OEM spot. It's unbelievable how small oil filters have gotten. I guess they've just made the filter so much better that they can make it smaller. But I'll tell you, I bought this one. I came home, opened it up, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, this thing's not the right size. I was like, this is ridiculous. And so I drove it back. And I was like, hey, you know, this is the oil filter, I need this size, but this is the one that you gave me. And then he lined up the seals, and he said, nope, this is the right one. The seals line up perfect. I'm like, holy jeez. That's the drain plug right there. I assume you know what that one right there, that's the drain plug. And I can just reach that with a ratchet very easily without jacking up the car. It's the easiest oil change of any car I've ever had. I've probably changed oil on, I don't even know, 25 cars or something like that. Alright, there's the drain plug. I think you can already see oil. All I did was crack the bolt. I'll tell you, that's really interesting actually. All I did was crack it. Just crack it. And oil is already dripping out of it. 17 mil socket. I put on a 1/2 inch just to make my life easier. Now, if you run the car for 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so, this oil is going to be hot. Now, here's my logic in the whole thing. Yeah, it's hot. If you get it on your hand, it could hurt a little bit. But to prevent that, you have to put on a glove that's like heavy, and you're going to ruin it because you're going to get oil on the glove. So it's like, you know, burn yourself and save a glove, or not burn yourself and lose a glove. And I'm going to go with burn myself and not lose a glove, but I use a rubber glove. Now, I put this tank this edge almost under it. Basically, if it drips, it's going to fall in the tank, but just barely. And I keep this side as far out as I can, because when you open this thing up, I mean, it comes out like a rocket ship. And another thing that some people like to do is that they like to get the bolt out of there so it doesn't fall in this thing. I don't care about that. There it is. A little bit of oil, but not much. I would say that's a successful, very successful drain plug removal. Let's take off the filter and let's take off the oil cap. So one good thing about the rubber glove is that if you get a good one, it's easily cleanable with a rag. So I just wiped this one off. It took a couple seconds, and glove's good as new. So this is my oil filter wrench, and I believe this one was my father's, or my grandfather's. But remember I was telling you about the size of the filters nowadays? Well, you can tell how old this one is because it does not work on a new filter. Look at all the space right there. Right? I need to turn it this way. But it's completely and it's completely loose. So I actually need to put something in there to take up that space. So all I do is I get this ratchet. This is the one I use because it has sort of like a curved part. And I take the filter and I push it right up against on this side. And then I wedge the 3/8 ratchet in there. And now it's very tight. And I kind of make sure I have it pressed up against there as tight as I can get it. And you really just need to crack it. Once you crack it, which I think I just did, but I'll keep going. See that? Once you crack it, it's pretty much good to go. And I probably could do it with my hand now. Yep. Another good thing about rubber gloves is they have grip. So that's really all the wrench is needed for, is just to give it a half turn. Now one thing is that right in here, it's tough to tell, but since the filter is smaller than the opening, a lot of dirt can build up on this outside. So I just like to get that stuff out of there. We got the new one. Let's see. Yeah, same one, gold filter. Rubber seal is in there. Thread's on good. Along with the bolt, there's also a washer. Some people say you got to replace this washer. Yeah, I don't do that. I've done 3 so far, and I've just reused the same washer. Not that it's a lot of money. Uh-oh. There it is. Nice. I almost had to replace the washer. Yeah, that's it. I'm not going any further than that. Alright, let's get this cap on. Let's start it up. Oh. Hasn't seized. So it looks like we did it right. Pretty tough to do it wrong though. Alright, brake bulb. That's this one. Tough to see, but it's that bulb. This is when you turn your lights on, this bulb goes on. But that's the brake bulb. And we got to replace that. It's pretty simple. A couple screws. These 2 screws right here, and then there's a couple of bolts behind it. Shouldn't take very long. Okay. Then you need that one right there, and that one, yeah, and that one right there. 10 millimeter. These first screws I took out, they're you gotta make one turn, and then you gotta kind of get your nail underneath there and pop them out, because that piece is what's holding it in. It just this one turn. See, when you put it in there, it spreads the little fingers. So you make the turn, and then you yank this out, and it allows this thing to squeeze so it can be pulled out. And this thing, let's see here. Yeah. That's it. So this one, let's make sure we take out the right one here. This is this middle one right here. That's the middle one is right here. That's the brake. Like an 1/8 of a turn, counterclockwise. pulls it out. And it does look fried. It's always a good sign to see it actually fried. So this is what I'm using, a 7440, this is a Phillips. Something interesting I didn't even know. And I just learned it when I was buying these brake bulbs. And I've been buying brake bulbs for, geez, I don't even know, over 20 years. Is that every company has the same number. So I was looking for a different company. I looked in the book and it said 7440 in the book. For that one, and then I went over to the shelf and there was nothing there. So I told the guy, I was like, hey, you know, this bulb that I want from this company is in here, 7440, but I don't see the Phillips book. So he's like, well, it's a 7440 and Phillips too. They use the same numbers. I'm like, you gotta be kidding with me. So whenever you go, I've gone to Pep-Boys a million times, or AutoZone or whatever, there'll be a book for one model but not for the others. It's because all the numbers are the same. Just gonna use my shirt here to hold it. I don't think it's gonna make a difference, but might as well just reduce the amount of oil. Drop it in there. And give it that 1/8 turn back. So now that we got the bulb in there, we gotta make sure these two slots here, and they slide into a couple plastic pieces on the side of the car here, and yep, that's it. Perfect. Easy. It's got a little clip here. I probably should test out the brakes before I do this, but we're going to trust that we know what we're doing. That's perfect. Got a spare bulb for next time. That project should be done. So now we just got one more. Third little project, well, I hope it's little, is that this thing has a backup camera, but it doesn't look like it's engaging when you put it into reverse. So normally you step on the brake, obviously, and you put the shifter into reverse, and immediately this thing would switch to the backup camera. Now, and then it switches back when you put it back into park, or when you put it into drive. So I'm putting it into reverse right there, and it doesn't even really flicker. It just does nothing. And this warning right here, don't worry about that. That has nothing to do with this. So the first thing I think I should probably do before I go nuts here is just maybe look at the settings. Mode. AV. Let's look at the settings here. System settings, application settings, source settings. AV input. I don't know what that is. iPod settings. I don't see anything that says backup camera. Maybe. So system settings, rear monitor output. No, back camera settings. Huh. On. Oh. So I replaced the battery on this and it reset it. Oh, baby. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, you're done. Man, I had look at all these tools. I had this pry tool. Oh, good. Glad I didn't have to use that. This is to pop off a plastic trim piece. This thing right here. Just boop. We're done with this baby. Sam's gonna be happy that our backup camera's working again. Oh, oil change, brake light change, and backup camera back working again. Let's go tell Sam that our car's is in top-notch shape again. Hey, back up, Skinny. Hey, babe. Oil change is done. Brake light has been changed as well. And the reverse camera is now working. Want to know what the reverse camera problem was? Since we changed the battery, it reset the settings on the radio. And all you had to do was go into backup camera and click settings on. I'm glad I checked that before ripping apart the dashboard.
Yeah.